Yes, sir. As we proceed to give you what you need, the prodigal Don has returned. I am your host, Keke The D.O.N. We do not have the usual panel today. This is somewhat of a solo dolo episode, but we have our producer, the Border Wolf, helping me out with it as well.
Yep.
So, this is the Thriller 40, or in this year, Thriller 41 anniversary. Um, So just to give context, I don't think I really have to explain who Michael Jackson is unless you've just been living under a rock, which in that case, yeah, yeah, you might want to leave from that rock. Um, but yes, it's the 40th one anniversary of Thriller, and they decided to release a documentary about the album. This documentary had actually been in the works for quite a while. It was actually, from what I understand, it was supposed to be a Victory Tour documentary originally, and then they changed it because it was getting ready to be Thriller 40's documentary, or it was never intended to be a Victory Tour documentary at all. But regardless of the case, we have not got a Thriller 40 documentary. Wolf, I don't know if you have seen the other documentaries for the albums. There's like Bad 25, and then there's from and then there's from Motown to Off the Wall, that documentary, and this is the third one. So the Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson trilogy all have documentaries now.
Well, I haven't seen one of them, but I've seen those videos where it's like a montage. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost documentary. Let's say there might be a 40-minute video about Billie Jean and how it started. So I've seen stuff like that on certain songs, but like a whole album. This is like a whole creation of the Thriller album, correct?
Oh
Or
wait,
there's a little bit more of
it's
extra stuff
it's
put in.
it's honestly both. What it is so. I'm just gonna get right down to the nitty gritty of it. I watched it yesterday. You could have actually I watched it yesterday on cable.
Oh, this was live.
Yeah. It comes on today. It comes on later on today. Let me see when it comes on for you. Um, but yeah. It comes on later. It comes on later on today. What's your cable provider?
AT&T.
Okay, so it comes on Showtime. Um, so Showtime is like 8:52.
8:52.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go check after this.
Okay.
Record it.
So yeah, it came on Showtime about 7 o'clock. They play it twice actually. You could have watched it on Paramount Plus, but you have to have Paramount Plus Premium to watch it. So that was kind of dumb. I understand why they did it like that. They wanted to get more people on that Paramount Plus Premium subscription, I guess. But yes. Honestly, so I'll go over some of the things I liked about it. I liked how we were finally getting this documentary after they've just been because so they have been uploading clips and clips and clips to this documentary for like months. I mean months. Like I would say they've been uploading quick clips for this Wolf since like the summertime, and everyone kept asking, well, okay, y'all dropping all these clips, or people, not them, not the estate, but leakers have been like dropping the clips and stuff. And everyone just keep asking, well, y'all dropping all this stuff. When is the full documentary going to drop?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we had to wait pretty much a really long time for it. I think the hype for it kind of died down originally. I mean, now, unless you're like a diehard Michael Jackson fan.
If you die hard, you would take any little information,
Yes, of
any
course.
little sleep.
Um, yeah, of course, because it's just the more you not the more you learn about the person, I guess the more you feel connected to them in a way, I guess in a weird way. Um, so for so one of the things I did like, I did like how they kind of they don't pick up or the off the wall documentary came out left off, but they kind of allude to it.
Hmm.
Um, it pretty much just jumps in. They just kind of just tell you, okay, well, what I liked about it is for like Bad 25 and the Off the Wall documentary, you don't for those you hear for those this documentary Wolf, it shows like a lot more, well, not a lot more, but it shows you footage of Michael, like not well recording obviously, but it shows you a lot more footage of like what his thought process was during the time.
Behind the
Like
scenes.
yeah, like Bad and Off the Wall, they didn't really show you too much on his thought process on why he, like for example, this isn't really a spoiler because everybody knows this about him at this point. But he talks about how he didn't he that he thought like music videos at that time, really since music videos started, that they were terrible, or not so much terrible, but if you watch a music video back then, like a 70s one or a 60s one, it wasn't really so much a video. It was more or less the artist or band, etc., performing their song on like performing their song. Like that's what the music video was. And essentially what his goal was to pretty much transform like that standard. So like that's why he had like Beat It and Billie Jean and of course Thriller. Like that's why if you've ever noticed, if you've ever watched the Michael Jackson interview post Thriller, he never refers to his videos as music videos. He always refers to them as short films because he was trying to essentially use the music to
Tell a
tell
story.
a story.
Yep.
And I did like that idea of that. There were certain songs that they went kind of really like in depth with. Like they pretty much went in depth with like the main three, like Beat It, Billie Jean, and of course Thriller.
Yeah.
They kind of touched on the girl is mine just a little bit. Um, they touched on human nature, kinda. They didn't really touch on um. That was kind of a disappointing aspect of it. They didn't really touch on every single song in the album. I would have loved for them to. I would have loved for it to see like how, oh, they came up with I don't know, Baby Be Mine and Pretty Young Thing or Lady in My. That would have been really cool to see. Um, I wish they kind of would have gone more into the because there's like a little bit of a gap. Like there's like a gap in between um like for him, like for Michael, there's like a little bit of a gap in between like Off the Wall and Thriller. Like there's a little gap in between where he's back performing with his brothers, and that comes from a song like one of your favorite Jackson songs, Can You Feel It? It's from their Prime album. And there's a little break that came out in 1980, and then they go on tour a little bit from like July to like September of '81, and so there's like a little bit of a so there's like a whole year kind of frame because Thriller dropped in November of '82. So there's like a whole couple of frames that I wish they probably would have. I feel like they probably should have touched on. Like maybe we could have got some dim like um maybe not recordings. Well, not maybe not footage of him recording these tracks, but I wish they would have showed you like the pre-planning of Thriller, like because it kind of just goes into okay, he was a little mad because he didn't win a lot of awards for Off the Wall, and they just instantly just kind of just cutthroated to the, they just instantly cutthroat to okay, let's start on want to be starting something blah 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 stuff like that. Like I wish they would have kind of gone in depth with the whole process of Thriller. Because the more I think about it, the more I realize that it was more of a celebrational documentary opposed to them showing you like, oh, what his mindset was, what he was trying to accomplish, if that makes sense.
They're focusing more on the
They're
biggest
focusing,
hits.
yeah, they're focusing more on the impact and influence that Thriller had after its release, not before and during that era, which
Hmm.
I think like Bad and Off the Wall documentaries, they definitely hammered that in a lot more. Um, it's not like I would say if you're like a casual fan, you'll learn a lot of new stuff. If you're like a diehard, this is for the most part you might learn some new things, but for the most part it'll be stuff that you kind of already know, kind of you're already aware of. One thing I would have liked, I, I would have liked for them to go more in depth with his Motown 25 performance, because that was um like that would have probably been because there's like a little bit, you can find it on YouTube. There's like a little bit of rehearsal footage of it, but it's not like it's just only about like a few seconds, and I think that would have probably been the opportunity to that probably would have been the opportunity to that probably would have been the opportunity to show it. Like I'm not gonna hold you. Like that probably would have been a great opportunity to show you like the thought process and everything. Like they actually now one thing I do like is they actually do, they have a couple of dancers in there that kind of tell you like where his thought process was in terms of dancing. Like there was one that said um they talked about like how he they talked about how he incorporated street culture in his
Hmm.
dancing. Obviously you can tell that with Beat It, with the high, you can tell with just the high socks, some of the jeans, um,
Jackets.
yes, the jackets. They talked about how like there's even a little bit of with Billie Jean, it's like the breakdown. I think it's right before it's right before he does the moonwalk. It's that thing he does with his ankles. It's referred to as the ankle breaker. That like
Where he
that
steps on his toe or he tippy toes?
no, not that.
No, not that one.
Um, there's
Dun
so
dun dun dun. That part before he
no,
does. Okay, before that.
yes, it's a little
Damn.
bit before that. Yeah,
Shit. Yeah,
but
I had to think.
yeah, they talk about that. They talk about I guess they talk about they talk about how like he had like the perfect figure for a ballet dancer, and you can see that he can incorporate a little bit of ballet in there
Hmm.
too. Um, because there was all these. I think the interesting part was they were saying like there were all these styles of dance, but people just kind of kept them separate. But he was like the first person that most people saw on television that brought it together,
Yeah.
and it flowed so endlessly together that it just worked. If that makes sense, it just worked.
Yeah, he
And
knew how to bring in genres and make them all fit within his like creative mind. Or
yeah,
not genres. It's different.
well,
Is
that's the
ballet a
thing. No,
genre
well,
or
no,
just
well,
a?
no, you're no, well, no, you're right.
Oh,
You're
okay.
right because you're right because originally when Thriller came out, it was not, it wasn't considered a pop album when it came out. It was considered a R&B and soul album essentially.
Thriller.
Yes, yes, like the yes, the album, yes, the album, yes. It was just the music was just so popular. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't. Well, I'll say this: he redefined like the term pop music because anybody else's pop didn't sound like that. Like so, that's why you have
Who's that?
that's Mr. Foreman. Uh, you didn't have anybody that you didn't have anybody that did it like that. Like so that did it like that.
Hmm.
So I think it was very so I think it was very interesting to see like how he was able to bring all these different elements and things of that and things of that nature together. Um, and things of that nature together. So hold up. I'll text Mr. Foreman.
How long is this documentary?
Okay, so the documentary is about it's pretty short. So it started like for me, I think it's about an hour and 30 minutes. So it's not too long. Um, and that's why I kind of meant when I said it's the weakest of the three because like bad and off the wall they were like 2 hours. They were damn near like 2 hours. So you learned a lot of information about Michael Jackson as a performer, a writer, a singer, a vocalist in those 2 hours. With this, it felt like I was what it felt like I was what was I gonna say? It felt like I was watching something that I already kind of knew, if that makes sense. And that's why I was saying like I think it would
Yeah.
have been better if they had just gone with the traditional like okay this track you're making pre-thrill like in that 80 like late 81 to 82 era, and then this is when he kind of slowly started to transition because a lot, so I'll give you a fun fact. A lot of people don't know that wanna be starting something was written in the off the wall era. And a lot of people also don't know that that song was originally meant for his sister Latoya.
Hmm.
And I think they didn't. And I kept kind of waiting for them um
Mention it.
to kind of mention it. And I think I saw somewhere that the Mama saying Mama side of my side that is something from. I think it's something from either it's something from either a Stevie Wonder song or a Bob Marley song. It's one of those two. It's one of those two. I have to look it up to give you to fact check it, but it's one of those two things.
Yeah.
And in Pretty Young Thing, when it's all like pretty young things, repeat after me, say na na na, and you hear a little background vocalist saying na na na.
Yeah.
Those are his sisters. Like those are his sisters performing. Like that's Janet and That's yeah.
Na
I
na
think
na
that
na na.
yes. That's Janet and I want to say Latoya. Yeah, that's Janet and Latoya. Um,
That's a
yeah.
good song as well.
Yeah. So it's like and originally, and I think this probably would have been. They kind of do mention it a little bit, but when Thriller first came out, it was doing pretty well. It wasn't, but it didn't. It was doing well. It was doing pretty well, but it wasn't really until like Motown 25 when he did the moonwalk and everything for the first time. That is when it skyrocketed. Like it was like, okay, now it's starting to get like really good. And eventually it was a couple of points in like 83, 84, where it was actually getting knocked because it was like number one for a while, and it was getting there would be a couple of weeks where it would get knocked down to number two, and that is actually where he came up with the idea to make the Thriller short film.
Yeah.
And because it kept getting, because Thriller kind of kept, it would go back to number one, and then it would get knocked down to number two, and then it go back to number one. It would be consistent, and Michael was getting very like frustrated.
Yeah.
So,
Aggravated. I'm like, you know what? Stay on the top. I want to do something interesting, and boom.
and yeah, and he basically came to John Lynn. She's like, "Oh yeah, I love your movie. I would like to become a werewolf, and maybe eventually a zombie day." And that's where they auditioned for like 100 different models and whatnot. And that's how
Hmm.
you got that girl in the music video. And I believe he got that jacket. I believe he got that outfit from the Salvation Army. Fun
Those are
fact
the
in the
people that donate
yes.
clothing, right? So
Hmm.
that wasn't made by
No,
like someone on like the set.
no. A lot of a lot of Michael Jackson's clothes that we know him for, like a lot of those were his ideas, yes, but a lot of that was like, you have fashion designers, you have people
Yeah.
that like he would go to the Salvation, like him and his brothers would go to the Salvation Army, and he would see a lot of things, and he would buy it, and I think he would just tell like the costume designer he wanted it like this, etc.
Oh, okay.
Um, fun fact: the Thriller video, the Thriller album cover, if you peep, he's actually wearing a hoodie, a zipped up hoodie.
Uh, so not the coat for the Thriller album cover.
Not the white
Not
coat,
not
but if you
not the picture we're looking at.
yes, even in that picture you're looking at right now,
He's
you
wearing
can
a
tell.
hoodie.
Yes, he's wearing a hoodie. He's
The
he's
fucking
wearing a he's
brightness
wearing a
around the shirt is making it hard to see. I see the coat behind his shoulders. Well, that's not
he's
the
wearing.
hoodie. That's the outer coat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
If you go to the OG original, if you
yeah.
go to the OG original Thriller picture, you can see it very clearly. He's wearing a hoodie over it, or at least a zip up jacket. But yeah, and then towards the end of it, they do kind of talk a little bit about the victory tour, but I felt like they didn't go into enough detail about it. They talk about his Pepsi commercial burn. That was another thing I felt they didn't go into too much detail about. Like there are certain things that I felt like if you're gonna do, like I felt like if you're going to cover this particular era, album, etc., with these, not just with Michael, but just with people in general, you need to cover like the whole thing, the ups, the downs, the bad, the good, etc. Because especially with that Pepsi commercial, there's like
This is the one that. Wait a minute. That Pepsi commercial. This is the
the
one where his hair got burned.
yes.
Oh my
They show you they show you the thing, like they show you the video, like the actual video of his hair catching on fire.
Yeah. I I'm thinking of the. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know if it was a reenactment or the actual thing. I hope
You
it was the reenactment I'm thinking right
you
now.
were probably thinking of the Little Jackson's movie where where his hair catches on fire and he tumbles down the
Yeah,
stairs.
yeah.
Yeah,
Why am I laughing?
that that didn't happen in real life.
Okay,
Like,
that's what I'm
yeah,
thinking. I'm like, didn't he like, oh my head?
nah, nah. He didn't do that.
Okay, okay. He just probably
He
just got
literally
his hair caught.
yeah he
Take
literally
it
did
out.
it. Yeah. I actually didn't know it, but I found out recently. I think he suffered from alopecia because of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Alopecia from getting his hair on fire.
Yeah, he caught sick in the third degree burns. And I also
I'm
heard
not
that.
familiar with
And I also
alopecia.
heard that. So have you ever seen like pictures of Michael without his glasses on, like his sunglasses during that era? And have you noticed that a lot of his if you have you noticed that some of his like some of his have you noticed that his cheeks are like red, like reddish?
Yeah.
So he also had lupus, and that's
What's
a
that?
side effect of it. It makes your cheeks red. Like
Rash or
yes,
blush?
yeah, it's a rash.
Uh,
Um, and I think that and vitiligo, I believe some of those causes. I believe one of the side effects. It doesn't happen to everybody, but one of the side effects is alopecia. I believe. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look
God
that
damn, he
up.
had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
A lot of
and it
skin
was
conditions.
it's crazy because they were literally saying like, "Oh, he's in the hospital." Like when he was in the hospital and stuff, but he literally didn't have like any time like to like rest or anything because you gotta like because when this happened, they were getting ready to do uh the victory tour, so he literally didn't have any time to like rest or prepare himself or do any of that. He just literally
Hmm.
had to just and I think that's kind of where the painkillers. I mean, he's gonna have to take those regardless, but that's kind of where I feel like the over reliance of it came in from.
Yep.
So my overall rating for the documentary, I would probably say it's about a good seven. It's about a good seven. I would
7 out of 10.
I would recommend I would recommend I would recommend if you're a fan of Michael, if you just want to know a little bit more about Thriller, I'd recommend watching it. It's pretty good. It's not. It's definitely the weakest of the Quincy Jones Thriller. I mean, but of the Quincy Jones's Michael Jackson collab documentaries, they didn't even have Quincy Jones in this, which was kind of oofy to me. But
So this is a Quincy Jones product?
what do you mean?
Like,
So Quincy Jones like helped Michael with Off the Wall, Thriller,
oh,
Bad.
oh, okay.
Yeah, like he was like a producer with it.
But he wasn't in this documentary.
No, he wasn't in
Was there like a falling out or something?
his voice. So they used a lot of his voice clips and um they use a lot of his voice clips. They do this with all of them because
Hmm.
apparently him and Michael they well, apparently Quincy has, I guess, not. I don't want to call it beef, but he has issues with Michael Jackson's estate. So I think that's why they just haven't asked him to be on it. But and then I think Quincy Jones is just too high of a profile to get. They did have some people on there. They had like Usher,
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige. They had Polo G on there, and I mean, he was kind of just there.
Damn, Quincy Jones is 90 years old.
Yeah, he has worked. Oh, I didn't like how they didn't really talk about We Are the World either. I think if you're gonna do something with Thriller, you should definitely include that because that definitely was like pretty much somewhat the last Thriller related thing
Mm-hmm.
outside of him buying the Beatles catalog.
The Beatles cow. Oh my goodness, savagery. Yeah, We Are the World. Yeah, that was pretty big. I guess it was a creative decision. Or it seems like they just wanted to focus on the. It almost sounds kind of biased in a way. Like they just want to focus on these certain songs.
That's no, that's what they did. They only really focused on to be honest. They only really focused on Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller. Like that's really the
Yeah,
only ones they
the
focused on.
like the literally the international biggest hits.
They kind of they slightly like they do talk about want to be starting something, but it's
It's a
not in
mention.
yeah, it's a mention. It's not really in depth like how and I don't know if it's because it doesn't because like that and Human Nature don't have music videos. Like maybe that's probably why, but I just feel like if we're gonna talk about this incredible body of work that it's continues to this day still sell. Um, it's funny because when this documentary came out, Billie Jean actually was the only one of his music videos to have a billion like views or streams or whatever.
Hmm.
And now Beat It has it, and they don't really care about us has it also. And Smooth Criminal is on its way to having that too.
Man, this guy is making buck, and he's dead.
Yep, been dead. Yep, I think this year or next year rather, it would be 15 years.
Time flies, dude.
Definitely. Um, but yeah, I definitely would recommend. Yeah, I definitely would probably recommend. Like, if I had to rank these, like rank them probably from worst to like, well, best to worst, I would probably give. I think, and this is a little biased because I think this is like his best album to me. I would probably say I'd watch the Bad documentary first because that's the one that came out first anyway, and then watch Off the Wall, and then watch this one. So pretty much watch them in the order that they released in. Um, I don't know if we're gonna get a not a biopic. I don't know if we're gonna get one for like Dangerous or your favorite Airwolf history. I don't know if we're gonna get those.
Hmm.
Maybe in the future we will, but it's kind of uncertain. They're actually getting ready to make a Michael Jackson biopic. I don't know if you saw that. Uh,
Oh boy.
his nephew
Last
is
biopic I saw, that man looked
his
like a
his
ghost.
his nephew's playing him. They already have dropped some rehearsal footage of it, and
Hmm.
it's pretty spot on. I think we'll be in good hands if they want to really if they want to really like make it like really good as possible, then I think they should probably maybe they would probably I think personally they should possibly probably get the because you know Michael Jackson has a book it's his autobiography, it's called Moonwalker. I think that is where they should take their main source of inspiration. It's kind of dated because he made it during the bad era, but I think I think if you did those if you did the like those eras of his career by fully adapting that, and then you know obviously you'd have to get help to make Dangerous in History and Invincible. But if you did it like that, I think it will be in good hands. I keep hearing it's probably going to be released in 2025, 2024 at the absolute earliest.
Hmm.
But we'll just have to like wait. We'll just have to wait and see. Um, yeah. But if I had to give you a track listing, like a ranking for Thriller, for me personally, it would probably be like Human Nature, Best track on the album. Do Not At Me. Um, oh, probably Human Nature. When We Started Something. Uh, Billie Jean. Baby Be Mine. Eat It. When We Started Something. Pretty Young Thing. Uh,
Pretty young thing.
Lady. Oh, and Lady of My Life and The Girl Was Mine. The Girl Was Mine is not poo
Darker
poo. It's
fire.
not poo poo. I used to call it mid, but
Yeah.
now that I have actually sat there and watched the documentary, because they show you stuff of him recording it with him. That's something I did like. They have a lot of archive footage for like I'm pretty sure all of his stuff, and that kind of is what not pisses me off about the estate, but like I have all this footage and y'all just won't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like they literally, believe it or not, like so the Victory Tour, like you can kind of look it up, but it's kind of very controversial. Apparently, like Michael and his brothers were like the tensions were high, apparently amongst them, and then there's like some ticket prices overload. It was just a lot of controversy. But the fact that they were able to show us some stuff from that, and it was in 4K no less, meant that they have all of his tours and stuff, and they could easily like remaster it to 4K. It's very easy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they want to do that, but it is what it is.
And it becomes financially relevant.
I mean, I can. I mean, this. I mean, I feel it. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like it's Michael Jackson. So regardless of whether he's with his brothers or by himself,
Yep.
it's going to sell regardless. Like, so I feel like that. Like so when the Thriller 40 like thing came out, like the album, like if I was them, this is what I would have did. I would have probably kind of took the same approach I would have did. I would have took the same approach that they did with Bad 25. Because I think Bad 25, it's not perfect, but it is. It was a lot better than the OG Thriller 25. I would have had the original disc one. Disc two would have had some unreleased stuff, and they kind of did that with this one. Um, I probably would have had unreleased stuff that people have been asking for years, like Nightlight, Hot Street, She's Trouble, uh, so stuff like that. Um, Chicago, 1945, uh, Buffalo Bill, since that's technically in the Thriller era. Uh, I probably would have, and then I would have, and then for that third disc, I would have, for that third disc, I probably would have, oh, along with all of his short films, the Motown 25 stuff. For that third disc, I probably would have had a live theme from the Victory Tour, and I also would have included a show from the Victory Tour. So yeah, it obviously along with the documentary. If they would have did it like that, it would have sold out like it would like just Thriller alone, like the fact that the album still sells to this day, whether it's streaming, discs, etc. Like I don't know, man. Like it's a lot. It's a lot that they could do for this. That they could have done, that they should have done, but they did not do.
Yeah.
Like I think the president of his state just recently said like they're mainly focused on like the biopic right now. Cause this documentary, it's been done. It's been done for like a year. Like they've literally had this in the vault for about a year. But yeah, um, but yeah, I hope we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have not seen the Thriller 40 documentary, there's still time to watch it. It's on Showtime. You have it's on Showtime on cable, but you can also watch it on Paramount Plus if you have the premium subscription. or you could also watch it on Showtime. Um, we will we will probably I don't know what my next topic's gonna be, but the delayed W pod will be back on schedule next Saturday or Sunday. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys there. Make sure you follow the boy J Money and Corb Student for the music, along with the boy Malachi. Hit up the boy Docs for the headers and covers. If you boys need any assistance with editing videos and stuff, you hit up the boy King Kareem along with his Twitch, and you also can hit up the boy Warwolf for that too as well. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I will see y'all next week in the delayed W pod.